Guys, the franchise journey continues, and today we have EJ McCoy, co-founder and CEO of Scoop Soldiers and Chorbie. What are we going to discuss? Growing a service-based brand, why service businesses are really technology businesses, and EJ's amazing journey and how he's changing lives of franchisees. So if you're a broker, if you're looking to buy a franchise, or you're an emerging franchisor, this is going to be a great conversation. I am excited, EJ. Last time I saw you, we were at a mastermind. You were in a cast, but you still came to the mastermind meeting. It was a cool injury too. It was a hockey injury, but yet you keep doing everything and you're inspiring so many people.
Yeah, thank you. No, that means a lot. And yeah, that was my first trip. That was about a month. Yeah, I think a month after breaking. I broke my leg playing ice hockey. My last game, by the way. Haven't played since, but I am fully recovered otherwise.
EJ, there's so much to talk about here. I mean, we have our YouTube audience. We have some amazing emerging franchisors, franchise buyers, brokers. As we work together on Scoop Soldiers, and you'll talk about it a little, but for me, what becomes so interesting is when I see a co-founder or CEO like you, your team, and then you take a service business, and I get insights behind the scenes, and I see so much focus on technology, customer service, franchisee coaching. So many things to dive into, but I mean, just a little, if you just give a quick overview, Scoop Soldiers, and I know Chorbie's out there too, and what do things look like in your universe right now?
So, yeah, you mentioned the technology and these different things. It's definitely hasn't been like this. It's part of our journey, right? I haven't like seen this from day one. Technology, for example, I am not personally, naturally technology savvy. I'm not an early adopter in a lot of cases. It interests me. It fascinates me actually, and I love to think about the future. And so, from that perspective, I love to think about and I love to operate in technology. But it hasn't been just a steady upward spot. It's been a journey that's like this, right? And even in recognizing and realizing technology as being a huge part of what we've got to do, especially with Chorbie. Technology is definitely a piece of Scoop Soldier's goal the next couple of years, because we do have to do some new things to really fully build out our business as we build out our Scoop Soldiers business, our pet waste removal business. Right now, we're nationwide. We're in 16 states, but we still are not in the Northeast and we're still not in the Midwest. And in order to go out and get double the franchisees that we currently have, double the territories that we currently have, which is our goal, the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. In order to do that, we do have to solve our technology problem. We have a technology challenge right now. We've got to replace what we currently use. And so it's a piece of Scoop Soldiers, but it started out 2 years ago, this technology journey. 2 years ago, it started out realizing that Chorbie is going to use franchising as a vehicle. It's a home services business and hopefully going to be a home services disruptor. But in reality, it's more of a technology than it is anything else, or at least in the future it will be.
Well, and for everyone out there, Scoop Soldiers, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. What's the business?
We scoop dog poop.
So I think you're being modest too. Outside looking in, especially when we're preparing data points and we're working on FDD and looking at item 19, and it really, to me, looks like a plug and play business of franchisees have their territory. You have your systems in terms of scheduling and receiving payment and sending teams out. So talk about the business model itself, because this is what I find so interesting.
So yes, it's the poop scooping business. First off, why not go and do it yourself? It is a simple business. It literally, if I wanted to do it myself, you need a truck, and you really don't even need that, but you need a car to get to and from each job, and you need about $40 worth of equipment and materials, some dustpans, some rakes, and some trash bags. And you need you need nothing more than clients. And how do you get clients? You need a website, so on and so forth. But when you get into the nitty gritty, just like any business, whether it's professional services or whether it's home services or technology or any business, when you get into the nitty gritty, there is a science to it. There's a system and a process to it. There's an expertise to it. And then on top of that, when you as a and so that's why you want to look at a franchise brand. But in addition to that, you're getting the support that we provide in our command center. And so we provide an enormous amount of the marketing support, an enormous amount of the client support. So you don't have to hire your office staff. It's your job is to make sure that the poop gets scooped in your local area and that you're out there getting awareness out about scoop soldiers and the pet waste industry as a whole to dog owners in your protected territories. And yes, your protected territories are pretty cut and dry. It's zip codes. And we found that in a lot of cases, a franchisee owns the majority or a lot, they own big territories, entire markets, all of Las Vegas or all of Phoenix, for instance. That's what most of our territories look like. We've got other territories that are split up. Dallas, for example, our original area, the area we started in back in 2011. Dallas has 3 franchise systems inside of Dallas-Fort Worth. So it's kind of a good mix franchise size.
And for anyone out there, we're not going to get into financial numbers and things like that, but when you look at the Scoop Soldiers FDD and things like that, what I find interesting is you have franchisees that have multiple territories, which to me is always the heart of a strong franchise system. If your franchisees are coming back for more territories, that's critical. But so from that perspective, what role does, when you look at Scoop Soldiers, how it's fitting in for your current franchisees, is it a lifestyle franchise, income replacement, legacy building, or maybe it could be different things to different franchisees?
It's definitely for us different things for different franchisees. And I think that's still an area also where we are definitely an emerging franchise. A year ago, we had less than 40 territories. This year, right now, we have just under 90 operating. And so we're still an emerging franchisor in a lot of sense. And that's definitely an area like we're unique as a franchisor in that I think we're unique from what I've learned. A lot of our franchisees, this is a side hustle. Even if they're operating $500,000 businesses, it's still a side hustle. They've got full-time work. But then we've also got serial entrepreneurs that are my generation, millennial generation, serial entrepreneurs that are on the verge of retirement. And so we've got a wide range, serial entrepreneur. We've got people who have full-time jobs, and this is a side hustle for them. And then we've got people who were former employees of ours at Scoop Soldiers who became franchisees, and they are operating their business, their owner-operator type businesses. So we've got a really interesting mix and a decent amount that do operate successfully with full-time day jobs.
Internally yourself, I mean, it's not like you're asking anyone to do something you haven't done. I mean, you have a pretty sophisticated corporate team and operations yourself.
Well, it's winding down.
Yeah,
we do. We have a unique story in that we expanded to something like 12 states before we franchised. We were in 12 plus states, 13 plus markets, if memory serves. This is back 2019, so it's years ago, but before we started franchising. But today, as I mentioned, 16 states. Even right now, corporately, we still own Seattle. I'm based in Dallas. We own Seattle corporately. We own Salt Lake corporately. We own DC, Virginia, Northern Virginia corporately. And we own North Carolina for right now. It's set to launch. And Phoenix, Atlanta is also set to launch here soon. And so, yeah, we went into all these markets in a lot of cases and then awarded the territories that were pre-existing businesses, cash flowing businesses, profit generating businesses, and had franchisees take those over. But that season of our business is not completely over. It's mostly over because though we own those handful of states I just mentioned, we used to own 12 plus. And we've awarded, as I was mentioning earlier, we've awarded the last 90 days of 2023, we awarded 46 corporate-owned territories we operated to existing franchisees. About half of our franchisees expanded their territory. And so that's another beauty in this business is many of our franchisees do not live and I don't know that this is necessarily an awesome thing. I'll let you know in like 5 years if it's this hurt or help us or affected us. But a lot of our franchise territories are not owned locally necessarily. Now, I do think it's best in a lot of cases, but a lot of them are remote. Our Phoenix and Las Vegas owner lives here in Dallas, for example.
I want to go backwards in a second and get to but before I do that, because I'm very interested in your story, how you got into the industry. And because for anyone outside looking in, check out Scoop Soldiers and Chorbie, but which is a multi-service brand platform. But if you check out Scoop Soldiers, you're going to see a thoughtful brand and a thoughtful team in how you can implement and succeed. But EJ, what does it look like being a franchisee of Scoop Soldiers? Like, what I become a franchisee, what's the thing I don't know that I find out, the advantage I didn't know that existed, and what does life feel like?
So first off, the job of a franchisee, a Scoop Soldiers franchisee, you are getting the poop scooped one way or another. It's either you or a team you're responsible for hiring, building, maintaining. And of course, we're there to support you in that. But your job is to get butts in seats, as I often will say, butts in the trucks. And we call trucks tanks because we're soldiers. So operating those tanks, which are Toyota Tacomas or Chevy Colorados, but operating those vehicles, keeping them operated, you own them, you have to own them, or of course we have leasing programs set up to where we can lease them to you as well for the right candidates. But you keep those trucks on the road safely. You keep people in those trucks. You're scheduling, you're dispatching. That's your day to day. That's really what you're doing. So whether you're operating yourself or whether you have team members doing it, if you can do that, you're a successful operator. Now, historically, we haven't had a lot of our franchisees doing a lot of PR, a lot of boots on the ground marketing and business building. We are working on that. That's part of our TPIG tour that I'd love to talk about here in a little bit if we can.
Let's talk about that. Well, one other question I had. Yeah, you have did you say tanks?
Tanks.
Okay.
Yeah, trucks.
I think as important, you also have your command center, right?
And that's us as the franchisor, right? That's our job as the franchisor, is the command center that provides the administrative support for
okay. And what are those key support services that you're delivering?
We're running credit cards every day for the previous work done, work done the previous day. We are doing all of your client support, your lead intake and conversion. All of this is done digitally via command center, which is a hybrid team, a team that works some in office, but also a lot of remote.
And that's where most small businesses sort of stumble, right? In terms of customer acquisition, customer conversion, and care.
Yeah.
So
we just found a niche in poop scooping in that, and realized, man, if we just answer the phone, if we are aggressive in marketing, and that was really the key, is being really aggressive in marketing, but be aggressive in marketing, aggressive in expansion, we can solve the client intake, get the phone answer, get automations built that can convert clients for a fairly simple service. And that's where technology comes in, and where we still are constantly working. What we have right now is not what I would consider to be, it's not what I want to see in the future. Let's put it that way.
Well, but I think any genuine, passionate entrepreneur and founder, if you felt, if you felt satisfied with everything, you wouldn't be where you are. Which, EJ, how'd you get to where you are? Like, what started this journey? Did you ever think you'd be running an organization at the corporate level as big as it is, and now changing the lives of franchisees? Like, where does this all start?
So on one hand, yes. On another hand, no. And the reason for that is because I'm very, very ambitious. And so I've been ambitious since I realized I could make $25 per hour mowing yards. when I was 15, 16, and even a little bit before that. It clicked for me about that age. I'd been doing it a few years before that. But when my dad came to me and I was ready to go to work at Winn-Dixie, a local grocer here in North Texas, that's gone now, but I was going to work there for minimum wage, $5.95 an hour, and I was going to make, I was going to clear $400 a month, full, clear, but work 20 hours a week. And when he said, EJ, you can just keep mowing more yards and you make $25 an hour. And he always jokes that he created a monster. So it starts there. And I got really ambitious, and that never stopped. I kept trying to get away from lawn mowing, and it still didn't happen, still hasn't happened. I in some ways I went backwards. I went to poop scooping. But I kid, that's a total joke, because poop scooping is way better than lawn mowing in a lot of ways. But on the flip side, I was a C student. I'm dyslexic. I'm not a natural or gifted charismatic speaker or any of this. I again, C student, flunked out both times I tried to go to college. I wasn't very consistent at going to class. That might have helped. But yeah, I'm ambitious. That's about it. And I figure, and I take the calculated risks. I've been decent, I guess, at my risk management. But also it's about team members and really the people side of things, and my journey there that got me to the point that I can operate a, $25+ million organization. It's the people side and learning and grow my journey the last 10+ years in partnering with the right people. My business partner and co-founder of both Chorbie and Scoop Soldiers and other businesses that we currently operate. Picking him as a partner, he had a huge part in the success of Scoop Soldiers, for example, and not to mention the part that he played in Chorbie prior to Scoop Soldiers. So picking the right partners, learning how to work with people, and and realizing that even though I wasn't always naturally a people person, if I'm going to achieve the things I want to achieve, I better learn how to be a people person. And that's even more serious, like important in a franchise business. Even more so, because that the entire business is built on strategic partnerships and relationships.
EJ, what like when you think back, whether it's a team member as your organization has grown, or a franchisee where you didn't expect it, but you made an impact on their lives, like what are some of those moments you're reflecting on now? And I know the journey's just got started.
Yeah, the journey's just got started on this, but the thing I'm most proud of, and I think this is what I'll answer, whether it's exactly what you had in mind or not, the thing I'm most proud of in the lives are truly actually the employees that came to work for me, scooping poop for $14 to $17 an hour. And fast forward not even 5 or 6 years, they're running multi-million-dollar businesses of their own as a franchise, and they're some of our most successful operators. And it's not just one or two. It's not just family members, even though it is some. It's a variety. It's got multiple years at this point of showing that success. And even to Chorbie, who isn't franchising right now. I mean, we're taking names. We're building a list for Chorbie for 2 or 3 years from now when Chorbie is franchising, because I envision when Chorbie's ready to franchise, I want 100 franchise units sold in a year, first year. I know that's ambitious, but if we can do what we want to do on our media side, but our first franchisee at Chorbie is in place. He's been in operations for a year, and he also is a former employee of Chorbie, who started out as a lawn technician. And then led that department. So it's not just Scoop Soldiers, but it's Chorbie. But this has had huge impact on their lives and getting them into business for themselves, which I think is again a real reason and why I believe so much in franchising, is because you're building entrepreneurs, you're training and developing and raising up leaders that are entrepreneurs.
It turns out that Scoop Soldiers is turning into an amazing instrument for entrepreneurship, right?
Yes.
With those rails. So I mean, what I love is I mean, anytime I'm on LinkedIn or you're one of the people I'll follow on LinkedIn and stuff. And there's like really good, thoughtful conversation with this entrepreneurial journey and experiences. And so you'd mentioned what I love also is, I mean, even before we hit record here. I mean, you're talking about all the positive things with franchisees and the initiatives and where you're out on the ground with your franchisees. But I know what tour do you have going on? Talk to me about this.
Okay, so I'm still working on formulating this elevator pitch, so to speak. So bear with me because there's a lot of different ways. But so we're off. We're launched actually this past Saturday in Fort Worth. I'm in Dallas, so Fort Worth, so hour and a half drive from my house. We launched our TPIG tour. So TPIG stands for Turning Poop into Gold. And that's an idea that came from one of our franchisees. That's what he was calling it. He was calling it TPIG. And he turning poop into gold. And at our conference late last year, he kept talking about it. And then I had dinner with him a few weeks later, and it kind of clicked. I was like, we can do something with this. And then as we awarded these 46 new territories to existing franchisees, mostly existing franchisees here at the end of the year, and I was trying to build awareness, think about how can we really capitalize on the fact that we've just sold 46 territories in 30 days, basically, and launched most of them in less than 60 days. How can we capitalize on this? And my media producer, Brent, we've already kind of been building up media, doing all of this, planning this, recognizing that the value in media and PR and building your brand, building a brand to get your business, your culture, your thoughts, your opinions out there as an entrepreneur. So I digress. I'm sorry, and I might forgive me if I get on these rabbit trails on this TV.
But EJ, so this is the genuine stuff, and the fact that you're excited about it is exciting. And look, for franchisors out there, emerging franchisors, others that are watching you and saying, "Hey, how do I build something like Scoop Soldiers?" And even potential franchise buyers. I mean, I want to look. Forget C-suite and all this other stuff. I mean, you are at that level, but you're also in the field, and you're also leading this, this army or this military. But I love that you're in the field doing this and impacting these lives. So
I'll continue on that. Yes. So the TPIG tour. We took this bus. Brent King came up with this idea. Let's get a bus. Let's wrap it.
All right. Do we have an image of the bus?
Follow Pet Waste Millionaire on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, and I'll make sure but yeah, follow us. And yeah, there's pictures of the bus all over, but it just launched, so it's coming because we're like going for it here. Like if I can. Like I keep telling my team, like I actually keep joking. First off, I keep poking fun at myself because the bus is Pet Waste Millionaire and Scoop Soldiers. And the bus, even on the back, is a picture of me with my 240-pound puppy Great Danes.
So
it might not be on here yet. What are we looking at? YouTube? Hold on.
All right. So we'll get this on the video, but for everyone out there, I know I'm going to subscribe to as soon as I sign in.
Yeah, subscribe here.
Okay. Find your goal. Pet Waste Millionaire.
Yeah, this is my new thing, my major initiative, and this is just coming together. In fact, like literally tomorrow, petwastemillionaire.com will kind of get a refresh. But you'll start seeing this bus on my LinkedIn, on our LinkedIn stuff. There's the bus. Well, hold on. What you must have an old version or cache needs control because the video. That's our old video. Anyways, nonetheless, this is all coming together. Literally, this is 2.5 months. This conversation of like, hey, let's buy a bus and wrap it happened the day after Thanksgiving, and it's February. It's the end of February, last day of February, and it took me 2 weeks. In fact, I saw you up in at Steve Bigelman's SMB franchising up there, and I was talking to a guy on my board of advisors with Steve, John Amarafi, who's also a franchisee at Scoop Soldiers. And I was telling him about this idea. And I was like, no way I'm buying a bus. I'm not buying an RV. Just too expensive. I'm not doing that. Literally that weekend I was looking at that was Thursday. That weekend I was looking at RVs and I ended up buying the one I looked at. And it will be up on our website and such literally in a matter of hours to a day or so. But So we wrapped this bus, Pet Waste Millionaire, with Scoop Soldiers. And the whole goal here is to build awareness to the industry. So many people do not know the poop scooping industry. 65 million dog owners in this country, each with about 1.8 dogs. I don't think that the entire poop scooping industry is scooping. I don't actually have any idea. I'm totally spitballing. I don't think it's 1 million scoops a week. I'm pretty certain it's not even 500,000 scoops a week. And we measure by scoops, as you can imagine.
I do you know why I'm smiling? I mean, I love the science that's going behind this. And this is where,
Yeah.
I mean, I love how excited you are.
So we're going all over the country. We're going to serve our franchisees first and foremost. We've got an operations team of 3 guys that are operating this bus, and they're traveling. We're down in Houston next week. We were in Fort Worth this weekend. We're right actually just in the same zip code as me, right down the road in Allen at the amateur hockey league team here. It's a pet-oriented day for that amateur hockey team, and so the bus will be out front. We'll have a booth. We're promoting Scoop Soldiers, but we're also doing a full production series, docu-series, on a national tour and talking about the American dream that still lives today. Even with all that's going on in the world, the American dream does still live. I mean, my goodness, I'm dyslexic. I'm not exactly that sharp. I'm ambitious, and I ended up partnering with like smart people, but like I'm not all that special. That's part of my keynote and future book, Not the Sharpest Tool. Look, anybody, the American dream still lives. We can make money. We can turn poop into gold. And we have multiple multi-millionaire or multi-million dollar poop businesses within our system. It's not just about me, the pet waste millionaire, so to speak. And so think Duck Dynasty and Road Rules or something like that, even though I've only ever watched some of them. But we're doing a docuseries on that. And we're also going to go around and try to do as many live Pet Waste Millionaire podcasts on the bus with local business owners, local podcasters, and just learn their stories, home service businesses, you name it, whatever relationships we've got in those various markets. And so we're also doing events out of the bus. And we are doing boots on the ground marketing for our franchisees while we're there. So we're sponsoring and looking for nationally what is the best dog-friendly restaurant. Okay. So this past weekend we were at Mutt's Cantina, which is basically a little hut, no indoor seating, that's got a giant dog park behind it, and you can pay memberships to get in there. You can also buy drinks and such. So we sponsored for 2 hours. We gave away a bunch of swag, but we also sponsored drinks. Every person got a free drink. And we did awareness. And so and of course we also did a food review. And so we're doing this food review, this nationwide tour docu-series. We're also adding adventure to it because I'm the pet waste millionaire. And why the hell not? Because when I was 16 years old, I did not plan on working 100 hours a week. And I don't work 100 hours a week to this day, but I didn't plan on working 100 hours a week when I was a quote unquote millionaire. I wanted to have fun. And that's also part of entrepreneurship. And so we're doing fishing in Tampa. We're doing an off-road adventure park because with every RV has to have a Jeep, right? And so we lifted a Jeep, wrapped the Jeep. So we're going to do these off-road adventures. We're doing that in Houston next week. So anyhow, this is all going to get documented, and the purpose on this is to build awareness for future, to talk about this, to help our franchisees, but it's also a piece of franchise development. And obviously we need a lot of franchise development. We need to build out for Scoop Soldiers, the Northeast. We need franchisees in the Northeast. We need franchisees in the Midwest. And this is our version of franchise development, both for Scoop Soldiers today and Chorbie in the future.
I love how great founders or co-founders take so much for granted of what they've done already, right? And so for anyone listening, if this is like the first time you're listening, it's like, oh yeah, that sounds natural and this makes sense. And that's like, but then if you go backwards, first, EJ was talking about Chorbie and saying, hey, we're not franchising it yet. Where most people would have franchised it already in a big way, but EJ has precise standards. Second is, how do you get to this next step that EJ is talking about? Well, first you need a great brand and great systems and a great team and franchisees that already believe in you. And then this becomes the evolution, which even beyond the inspiration and impacting franchisees, this all seems to fit so seamlessly because there's something special here, right? And even at the macro level, a market with, overwhelming demographics of dog owners, right? Who our dogs are family and opportunity, right?
Yeah,
So,
that industry is not going anywhere. The pet industry, home services is not going anywhere.
but EJ, what I love is so many businesses are stuck and outdated. And I see this with emerging franchisors. I'm like, do not do what everyone else is doing, what all these old legacy companies are doing. And this applies on the consumer marketing for your franchisees, and it applies for franchise recruitment in a genuine way. And
Right.
what you're describing and sharing, it doesn't apply, in an exact way to any other business, but it's an example of how leadership should grow a brand in a genuine way. I mean,
Yeah.
it's tremendous.
Thank you. Well, thank you. And yeah, I look at it. You're right. I don't oftentimes look at what we've already
No.
achieved. In fact, I'm terrible at looking at what we've already achieved.
You're not. You're horrible at it. I mean,
I'm
and I only know
absolutely
all this
terrible.
stuff because I've seen it, right? And I'm
I'm
blown away.
terrible at it. But no, you look at you look at Scoop Soldiers and the uniqueness to Scoop Soldiers that because people ask us that in Meet the Troops days, or otherwise known as Discovery Days. People ask us, and to me, one of the and or just getting interviewed and whatnot, people ask, what's the difference with Scoop Soldiers? And for Scoop Soldiers, the real difference is exactly co-founder led. We're the only pet waste business out there franchised that has got the resources. Now, there's little bitty ones that I don't even know the name of off the top of my head, but little bitty ones that have just attempted to franchise and haven't quite done it yet. But they lack the resources to really serve their franchisees. We're founder led, and we have the resources to be able to serve our franchisees. We're not perfect. Our technology needs updated, but we've solved that problem. And I keep doing that because I'm so bad at not talking about what I need to work on. But no, you look at Chorbie. And what Chorbie's trying to do, you're right. So much of look at the franchise industry as a whole. So much of the franchise industry is private equity led and or private equity focused in some capacity or another. And so that's neither here nor there. It's not good or bad. I'm not suggesting either way. But what I'm saying is it's all multi by brand. Everybody loves home services right now. It's the hot thing. It's been the hot thing the last few years. I personally believe that it's going to be the hot thing for the coming decade is home services in the franchise world. I personally believe that. But there's nothing original. It's all copying what Neighborly spent the last 30, 40 years building. And Neighborly is the one that I know of that is trying to do what Chorbie wants to do in the future. They're trying to consolidate their brands onto an app that all of their consolidated clients begin to use. And it becomes convenient to the client. But for them to do that, they've got a lot of integration to do between brands that otherwise don't want to integrate. So they've got some challenges, but they're the only ones I know doing that. If you go to the Neighborly app, they do very similar to what Chorbie wants to do someday. We just don't want 30 brands. We want one brand called Chorbie. Chorbie Plumbing, Chorbie Garage Doors, Chorbie Pest and Termite, Chorbie Lawn Care, and so on and so forth.
Well, and look, we represent a number of emerging brands. We also have clients with private equity and multi-platform, but I mean, I'm a big fan of those brands driven by their original founders and co-founders, right? Because it's
a different level of passion.
It is.
If I don't sound too arrogant saying so.
No, what's that? No, it's organic. It's like, those founders and co-founders are the ones that, built that one location or one territory, and from the ground up, and you can't, the character and integrity that builds into the brand is the reason why people want to acquire, and it becomes special. And I could tell you, Ryan and Ken Parsons, Brothers Just Do Gutters. I can tell you, like to a certainty, the character of all these individuals as humans. I'm proud when my older son's he doesn't work with, but he's in a professional industry and stuff. And when I go to a conference, I'm so happy when he comes. And what I'm most proud of is when he builds relationships with our clients, not for business, just because who they are. And when I see them hug each other or whatever, and I'm like, I'm proud that, whatever moments my son or our team learns from our clients. And those original founders have tremendous integrity. And if there's a battle, I will take, those organic startup founders and co-founders. I'll put them up against the, most savvy C-suite in the country for the biggest multi-billion-dollar company on the planet. I don't really care.
I've never needed such. I'm proud of that. That's something I'm definitely proud of, is that we've gotten to the point we have gotten to without any kind of litigation as such, except for here's where I need your services. Here's where I need your services, Charles, my HOA.
Well, thank God, all we do is franchise.
Yeah, no, my HOA and we don't get along very often. I always joke that I have to deal with lawyers more with my HOA than I have to deal with.
Yeah, no, you guys are fun to deal with. So the tour coming up, where's everyone going to check out? YouTube, LinkedIn?
Okay, it depends on your social media preference. We're on a lot of the big ones, but our core is YouTube, the Pet Waste Millionaire. But you can go to the petwastemillionaire.com. Okay, so our website, you can go to the Pet Waste Millionaire YouTube channel, and then there's also the Pet Waste Millionaire Facebook page. So depending on your cup of tea on social media, I should also mention LinkedIn. Just follow me on LinkedIn, and it'll EJ McCoy.
Yeah, and look, for everyone out there, if you're an emerging franchisor, like we talk a lot about building the organic reach of your brand, creating that brand story, which is not a story, it's genuine. Follow EJ because everything he's doing is genuine, but also he's learned along the way to not be restricted by what everyone says should be the traditional marketing or pathway. EJ's just building, the way he's building Scoop Soldiers is the way he's building his franchise system. And that's important with like-minded franchisees.
There's absolutely a uniqueness to the way we're building things. And the way I'll say it, I'll get real bold in this. Over the next 5, 6, 7 years, in my eyes, as I look to really the next 120 months, and my focus at Chorbie and Scoop Soldiers, the next 120 months, that's 10 years. The next 10 years, we need 1,000 to 5,000 franchisees. And that's the way I actually do look at it. We need partners with 1,000 to 5. We're not ready for that yet. We only need 100 right now. No, I'm kidding. But we don't even need that many right now, to be honest with you. We only need 5, in all seriousness, in the immediate. But and it does matter to me. Quality matters a lot. But in the next number of years, as Chorbie gets going, as we solve our technology and innovate in technology, we're going to need thousands of franchisees. And I say that boldly because I know how big an opportunity Chorbie is for home services, both to innovate for clients, but for entrepreneurs that are aspiring franchisees in the future, and of course also for the stakeholders and myself and my co-founder Josh.
Yeah, Josh is a good guy. Any advice, EJ, for new franchisors out there? Some of them get lost, they get frustrated, and I hear the calls, and not from our clients because we focus on expectations, 5-year strategy, but I get calls from people that say, "Hey, Charles, I franchised a year ago, 2 years ago. I'm not gaining traction." And sometimes it hurts because you look at them. Some of them you're like, you weren't ready. Stop franchising.
Yeah.
Others are like, you didn't build your foundation.
Yeah.
Any advice out there?
First off, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to put another shameless plug out there. White Picket Team Management is another company that I'm the CEO of. I'm the CEO of 3 companies.
Okay, let's go. That's not shameless. Okay.
I'm the CEO of 3 companies. We've talked about Scoop Soldiers. We've talked about Chorbie. What I rarely and am just starting to get into the habit of talking about is White Picket Team Management, which was started 5 years ago when we started franchising Scoop Soldiers and when we branded Chorbie with the vision that Chorbie's got today. But White Picket, just in the last 3 to 6 months, has begun taking on outside clients. It's a management entity. It's really where we consolidated all of our management infrastructure, our HR, our media is all for Scoop Soldiers and Chorbie, along with other brands that we own. It's all managed by White Picket. And so in the last 6 months, I've felt that it was time to really point White Picket to the general marketplace and to take our leadership management infrastructure, to take our accounting infrastructure. We are really good at accounting, for example. I know a lot of companies have struggled with bookkeeping. Heck, our franchisees, in a lot of cases, accounting has oftentimes they've struggled finding somebody. And so we're really kind of off on this journey right now, still finding exactly those exact services we're going to provide. But we've got a lot of advice, a lot of experience. At White Picket, his literally manages for me so that I can take 3 weeks off next month if I choose to. White Picket manages our $25 million worth of organizations, everything from real estate entities to franchisor tasks and entities to home services of all sorts and poop scooping businesses. And so I intend over the coming years to own other be a franchisor in other brands in pet space. So separate from Chorbie, separate from Scoop Soldiers. I intend for White Picket to help us support there and us to learn and grow in our own franchise development in media and accounting and leadership and management consulting. So first advice is contact whitepicketteam.com. And we would love to talk to you about our journey in that. The other thing is I would say is I think where people get hung up on franchising is they think that they go through the development phase where they get their FDD, they pay for that, costs $80,000 to $100,000. You get that done. I'm an entrepreneur. I can do plumbing or I can do XYZ service. But maybe even if they're fantastic at that and they've built a really solid system and they've got a unique selling proposition in their XYZ business that they have now franchised, even if they've done that, it's a totally different business, franchising. It's a people business. It's a relationships business. It's about a recent keynote at SMB's conference. All franchisors are leadership and development organizations. I strongly believe that. I love that stuff, along with home services. So I feel like I'm made to be a franchisor in this industry in so many ways, but a lot of people are not. And so they realize that. And then on top of that, it's really expensive after that. It's not cheap no matter how you do it. At least in my experience going, whether it was fertilization weed control or other home services that we have looked at franchising or poop scooping that we have franchised with Scoop Soldiers, you spend that initial money, that's just the beginning. You're going to spend it, frankly speaking, you're going to spend hundreds of thousands more before you have 5 or 10 franchisees. That's my experience. And we only have 13 or 14 franchisees. We've got almost 100 territories, but we've awarded within, which I'm proud of. I love that. I love that personally. But for us, it's been definitely a grind, to say the least. Getting that established.
That's the big part. Like you need to be prepared for the grind, that 5-year vision. And you should reach out to EJ. So this is good stuff.
Yes. And I'll say one more thing. That's why I'm doing what we're doing with the TPIG tour as well in the grand scheme of thing, 120 months mindset.
Yeah.
We've got to go and build a following. Because if I can build a following in the home services industry, in the pet waste industry, both of these industries are very much so fragmented and ripe for a need for us to teach the things we teach, leadership development and systems and processes and so on and so forth, franchise industry or just the general home services industry. Going into those industries and influencing those are a big part of what we believe we can do. And that will be our franchise development. It won't be, if I can go and be famous, and I'm kidding, but in jest, but being serious, if I can be Duck Dynasty, well, I'll never have a problem finding franchisees again. I can have my 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 franchisees, and I bypass the brokers. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. You can edit that out.
No, I'm not going to edit that out, right? There's a role for franchise brokers, but hey, if you are a franchisor, look, it's like anything else. You win by an all of the above strategy.
Yeah.
And if you're not building your brand and your leadership and that attraction, everything you're talking about, EJ, you're going to run into trouble as a new franchisor. I can't wait to see the bus, the tour. We'll get photos in here. I'm going to follow up on that.
Sure. And Ben can get those.
We may have to get an entrepreneur's kick-ass RV and meet up.
Yes, we should. That'll give us a reason to get to the Northeast, get the bus. That'll be year 2. Year 1, it starts here in Houston, works its way to Florida, up to DC is the closest we get to the Northeast. And then we literally cut across the center of the country to Colorado and all the way up to Washington State and back down to Phoenix and Tucson.
All right. Well, if you make it up to New Jersey, we have a
We-
great place here. We'll have a big
Year 2.
barbecue.
Year 2 is going
All
to
right.
need year 2, especially as we get some franchisees going up there. Year
All
2 of the TPIG tour does need to be the Northeast and the Midwest, and that's where Scoop Soldiers is coming next. We've made it coast to coast. 2023 was Scoop Soldiers coast to coast. We went from DC to Seattle, all those markets, multiple markets that were all new and got us coast to coast. But we haven't made it to the Northeast and the Midwest. We got to get that done.
That's awesome, man. EJ, I appreciate the time, man. Looking forward to everything else.
Absolutely. Thank you. Truly. Thank you for having me on. I'm grateful for it. Grateful for all you guys do with your team.
Look, this is the fun part, and I appreciate everything.